In today's Leeds news, serious injury to Kristensen, McKenna Quashes Phillips talk, under-21s win on the road, send Solomon back, Douglas explains Augustin issues, and Leeds Legends Games captains announced. Morning folks, Jay here on Tuesday morning, the 29th of October with your Leeds United news. Hope you had a lovely weekend and we got over the incredibly boring game of football that we had to watch on Saturday as Leeds managed a 0-0 draw with Bristol City. We'll do a review tonight with Jerry McNamee, and we'll have somebody else on as well. We'll try and get someone else on to have a few people to have a chat about the game. We'll do a proper conversation around it, and myself and Lockie will try and do the breakdown then throughout the week and look back at the game and just why Leeds weren't able to get anything on the board in that game. But we'll crack on with the news. There's a bit of stuff to get through. There is some information around the Leeds United Legends game on May 10th in Dublin. That at the end of the video. The details are down below for anyone who wants to get tickets for that as well. I would highly recommend it. Good Christmas present for anyone if you're looking for them as well. Right, let's move on. Let's start off with some serious injury news to Rasmus Kristensen, and Leeds' hope of offloading current loanee Rasmus Kristensen may have taken a little bit of a knock at the moment, but there's still some hope in this. But Kristensen is described as having picked up a serious injury on loan at Eintracht Frankfurt. Kristensen has been enjoying a really good spell at the club and has started pretty much every single game for them since his arrival, and the club are very, very happy with him, and there's even been some talk about them making the loan move a permanent one as soon as possible. However, Kristensen has picked up a muscle injury in their game last week that could keep him out of the side for some time, and Kristensen was seen clutching his hamstring as he walked off the pitch against FC Union Berlin. Frankfurter Rundschau have given the following details on it, and they said the following. Eintracht Frankfurt has to accept a serious setback. In the Bundesliga game against FC Union Berlin, had to replace right-back Rasmus Kristensen in the 38th minute due to an injury in the defensive action. The newcomer sustained a muscle injury in the right back of his thigh, so his hamstring. The MRI results for this haven't come out yet, but the club have confirmed the player is expected to be out for several weeks. Leeds and Frankfurt, though, are still said to have been in contact with each other about the player, and Sky Sports Germany journalist Florian Plettenberg has said that as far as they're concerned, Frankfurt have already decided to activate the option in Kristensen's loan. We'll hope that the injury isn't too bad from a Leeds perspective. Getting an extra 10 million quid in or thereabouts coming into January could be very, very helpful for Leeds if they need to do some business for the end of the season, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Moving on to the next story. This one came out last week where there were reports that Ipswich weren't happy with Calvin Phillips, and the player himself may have been angling for a move back to West Yorkshire and a return to Leeds United. Well, Kieran McKenna has come out in the press pretty strongly on this and has quashed any rumours or reports last week that Ipswich were considering cancelling the deal or were in any way unhappy with Calvin Phillips. In response to the claims after the game of the weekend, McKenna said the following. What can I say about that? Proper nonsense. You can write something and it gets picked up because of it's a story. Absolute nonsense. There has been no conversations of the like, and it's a real shame. He had a very good game today. It also points out in the report as well from the Yorkshire Evening Post that the initial reports of this came from Football Insider, were then picked up by Team Talk, Caught Offside, and the other aggregate sites then picked it up. We reported on it as well last week, but we did say incredibly unlikely to see that happening again, with lots of reasons for it. Not only the cost of bringing Phillips to Leeds, but the lack of form over 3 years and injuries, and would he even get into the team ahead of what's there at Leeds at the moment. So Kieran McKenna questioned that one. Calvin Phillips will stay at Ipswich for the meantime, but again, it proves that Football Insider can pretty much write whatever they want, and it gets out there and it finds its way to get into the mainstream media. And I make a point of not reporting on Football Insider stuff, but it'll always find its way in the back door some way. So yeah, we'll move on from that one and we'll talk about the under-21s who had a very good win on the road last night. Leeds under-21s picked up an away win at Nottingham Forest, and a really, really good performance by the very young under-21 side. A free kick from Alfie Creswell was enough to give Leeds the 3 points in the game. Really good game, really good performance. Nice free kick from Alfie along the ground through the wall and into the bottom corner. So yeah, really good performance from them, and they move on. Also, just to give you an update on one of the under-21 loanees that have gone out, Cian Coleman made his debut for Buxton this week, his full debut, and scored in that game as well. He's played 2 games for Buxton so far, started 1, and so far, according to the Buxton fans, he's doing really, really well, so well done to him. Moving on to another story that came up, and it's a kind of a half a story, more of a comment that was put out that's a strange and unusual comment and a very surprising take on the Manor Solomon situation at Leeds United. Johnny Buchan at Don't Go To Bed Just Yet has suggested that Leeds could send Manor Solomon back to Tottenham and use that space for another player. Solomon started really brightly for Leeds United when he came in, getting an assist in his opening game for Matteo Joseph, then picked up an injury that really has slowed his momentum, and the player himself has talked about the fact that his momentum has been slowed. by picking up these injuries, but is very confident of getting back up to speed. You shouldn't throw a player out with the bathwater. It's important to give players time to get up to speed. It's a long season, and although he might not be having an impact now, he may have further down the line. But speaking on Don't Go to Bed Just Yet, about the situation, Johnny Buchan said the following. You wonder with Solomon whether he's going to be able to get the time. And then the question, do you keep him or do you send him back? And use that spot. I'm not saying there's a limit on their loans. They're not. You use that pot that you've used money-wise to go get someone else who can maybe have a bigger impact. Daniel Farke has talked extensively about the fact that he prefers to use Leeds' owned players than loan players, and that the loan players are very much there for him to fill out the squad and as options when he needs them. So the possibility of him sending Manor Solomon back when he's got Dan James, Willie Nonto, Brendan Aronson still available to him, and Elijah Ramazani due back just after the international break. So he's got plenty of options. He doesn't have to start Solomon. Leeds can facilitate him getting back up to match speed. And so, as I said, it's a very long season. Coming into the back end of the season, Solomon might be the guy that gets into his stride then and has a big impact. So an unusual comment to write somebody off so early. I know Johnny's only putting the question out there, but to say it and suggest that he's not, it's going so badly that Leeds would cancel the loan and send them back again. Just talked about Calvin Phillips and Kieran McKenna's take on it. It's probably a bit silly to say that, but Leeds don't have a loan issue, as Johnny Buchan has said in this piece. Leeds have 2 loans currently. They can bring in 3 more domestically. The cost around the player, we're paying a lot of his wages, but there's seems to be money there at the moment for Leeds. They seem to be okay from a PSR perspective, so there's no real reason to send them back. It's a strange comment, but it's an interesting take on it. I'd like to know what everyone else's take on it. Do you give a player time to find his feet and then reap the rewards from that, or do you cancel it now and send him back? So you can let me know in the comments what you think about that. Moving on to Barry Douglas is back in the UK and back playing up in Scotland, and he's been talking about his time at Leeds United and under Marcelo Bielsa. And during his conversation with the Under the Cosh podcast, John Kevin Augustin also came up, and Barry Douglas had some really interesting information and a really interesting take on the player and a lot of things to say. Augustin is widely accepted to be probably Leeds United's worst piece of transfer business in the club's history, as well as probably being one of football's worst pieces of business, full stop. He made 3 appearances for Leeds United and has cost the club over £25 million. On Augustin's arrival at Leeds, Barry Douglas said the following on the player. We were doing some drills with him, crossing and finishing, one of those individual type drills. After training, I called my agent and said, "Who's this boy Augustin?" He said that he came very highly rated. I said, "I'm telling you right now, he won't play for Marcella, no chance. I just saw how he moved, how he was. He wasn't a Bielsa player." After just 48 minutes of football at Leeds United, that would be it for John Kevin Augustin's career at the club, and Leeds would then go into a protracted, long legal case around trying to recoup some of the money and trying to pull a fast one to get rid of the player and cost the club nothing, which didn't work in Leeds' favour. But Douglas went on during this podcast to say the following about JKA. He obviously wasn't in the best of conditions, let's just put it that way. I knew how training was, and I'm thinking, you're in trouble here. He was basically cast aside by Bielsa. Marcelo Bielsa had a very strong way of doing things. It's a really interesting interview with Douglas. He talks about the pressures of the training. A lot of the players are starting to speak about the time under Marcelo now, as well as the time that Leeds has either finished or is about to finish, and they've all been talking about it. And he had a certain way of doing things, and if you weren't up to it, you weren't involved, and that apparently appears to be the case for John Kevin Augustin. And once he was proven to not be good enough or not be able to keep up with the training, that was it. And they were all done in Leeds, tried to cancel the loan and use the extended season. It was a mess. It was a bad idea. Victor Orta went down that route. 49ers tried to clear it up. Leeds have dropped that case to try and reduce that £24 million fee that they were told to pay by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. That's been dropped now, and there's no case currently between Leeds United and Red Bull. And then finally, folks, just to move on to the Leeds United Legends game. Leeds United Legends will play the Borough Legends from St Joseph's in Dublin and the Carlisle grounds on May 10th, 2025. So next May coming. Details of that are down below. The links are there. But they have named the captains for the Leeds United side of things, and Mel Sterland and Paul Reaney will be in the dugout from a Leeds perspective going into this game. We will announce more players as and when they're announced as being confirmed, but as of right now, you can see it on screen there. Paul Reaney and Mel Sterland will manage the Leeds United Legends against the Borough Legends in the Carlisle ground May 10th, 2025. And as I say, if you haven't got the tickets, the details are down below. It'll be a really good Christmas present for someone who's into Leeds and maybe someone of the 90s era as well. There'll be some other players announced. There's rumours of names. I can't talk about them, but when they're confirmed, we will make sure that you get all the detail on that. But it's something that I'm really looking forward to going to see, so you can check out those details down below. Folks, I'll be back tonight with the match review from the Bristol City game with Jerry McNamee, and back in the morning for more Leeds news. I'll talk to you then. Have a great rest of your day. Mind yourselves. See you soon.